Sometimes your failure at work doesn't happen on its own. It is manufactured. You are still held accountable, but the control is taken away from you. You are still expected to meet the deadline, but the resources disappear. You are still evaluated, but the standards change every time you get close to meeting them. By the time you are exhausted enough to resign, the official record shows only an employee who failed to meet expectations. No single action is serious enough to be easily named. Every decision comes with an explanation that sounds perfectly reasonable, but when you put them all together, you are always the one positioned to fail. That is how the most dangerous form of quiet firing works. At 4:42 on a Monday afternoon, Melissa's boss called her into an unscheduled Teams meeting. He told her to send the revenue forecast to the regional director immediately. Melissa explained that finance had not yet confirmed the numbers. Her boss replied, "Just send what we have. They only need a preliminary figure." The next morning, she received an email with 2 senior leaders copied. Melissa submitted unverified figures, creating unnecessary confusion. There was no mention of the previous day's call, no evidence that she had raised a concern. According to the written record, the decision had been Melissa's alone. This is more than an inconsistent boss. This is the power of plausible deniability. The ability to create an outcome while maintaining enough distance to deny responsibility for it. One incident could simply be careless management. But if you remain accountable while the information, resources, and decision-making authority you need are repeatedly taken away, pay attention to where the entire pattern is pushing you. Tactic number 1 is the verbal order trap, giving instructions verbally, then assigning blame in writing. Risky or ambiguous requests are delivered during phone calls or private check-ins. When something goes wrong, the official story begins only at the moment you made the mistake. This is not simply a boss who prefers to talk things through. Their instructions disappear, while your response becomes permanent. Do not record conversations unless you understand the law and your company's policies. Instead, send a short confirmation email. Just confirming my understanding from our conversation. I'll send the preliminary figures today, with the final numbers to follow after finance approval. No accusations. You are simply making sure the context does not disappear when the call ends. Tactic number 2 is the Resource Starvation Setup, removing the resources while keeping the target unchanged. The deadline is still Friday, but your access has been restricted, your support person has been reassigned, and the approval you need has been sitting in your boss's inbox for 4 days. When Friday arrives, they do not evaluate everything that was taken away. They evaluate only what you failed to deliver. Performance does not come from ability alone. It also depends on authority, information, time, and resources. Keeping you responsible while removing those conditions separates the outcome from anything you can realistically control. If you quietly work through the night to compensate, you may save the deadline. But you also make the resource shortage invisible, right? To deliver this by Friday, I'll need access to X and approval for We by Wednesday. Without those, the earliest realistic completion date is Monday. You are not refusing the assignment. You are making the true cost of the decision visible. Tactic number 3 is the double bind assignment, giving you 2 assignments while making sure you cannot win. Your boss assigns tasks A and B. Both are labeled top priority. Both have the same deadline, but your boss refuses to decide which one should come first. Complete A, and they ask why you neglected B, choose B, and they say A was more important. Try to complete both, and they criticize the quality of your work. That is a double bind. Every choice can be used against you, while the person who refused to set priorities avoids responsibility for the trade-off. Do not ask a vague question like, which one is more important? Set a specific limit. I can complete A or B by Friday. Which one should take priority? If you do not receive an answer, document your decision and the reason behind it. Unless priorities change, I'll complete A first because it affects the client deadline, then deliver B on Monday. Now, the decision can no longer remain hidden inside their silence. If you have ever been assigned 2 urgent tasks and then blamed for choosing the wrong one, comment, priority. Not to complain, but to remind yourself that the person assigning the work is also responsible for establishing the order of priority. Tactic number 4 is the Selective Rulebook, a set of rules that becomes strict only when applied to you. A coworker arrives late and is praised for being flexible. You arrive 5 minutes late and receive an email. Someone else challenges an idea and is called direct. You do the same thing and are labeled difficult. Examine 3 things. Does the same behavior lead to the same consequences? Was the rule communicated in advance? And is the standard objective enough to be measured consistently? Do not immediately write, "You're treating me unfairly." That turns the conversation into an argument about motives. Instead, ask, "Could you confirm the standard being applied here and share how it will be measured going forward?" You are bringing the conversation back to policy, consistency, and observable behavior. If the first 4 tactics undermine your ability to perform, the next 4 target something even more dangerous: how other people interpret who you are. Tactic number 5 is the credit blame flip, sharing success while personalizing failure. When a project succeeds, your boss calls it a team effort. When a minor mistake occurs, the email names you specifically. There is nothing wrong with sharing credit. The problem begins when recognition is distributed widely, while negative accountability is consistently narrowed down to you. Over time, the official record creates a distorted version of your performance. You own none of the wins, but somehow own every mistake. This weakens your professional story. It becomes harder to demonstrate your impact during performance reviews, on your resume, and in job interviews. Maintain a weekly wins log that records the problem, your actions, the result, and the business impact. When appropriate, send factual progress updates directly to the relevant stakeholders. You are not fighting for credit. You are making sure your contribution is not erased from the record. Tactic number 6 is the reputation seeding, planting a narrative before you even realize you are being judged. It often begins with comments that sound harmless. "She doesn't seem as engaged as she used to be." "I'm not sure she can adapt to the new direction." "She's been a little difficult to work with lately." Once people hear those comments often enough, they begin interpreting everything you do through the same lens. You stay quiet, and they see you as disengaged. You ask questions, and they see you as resistant. When Hour eventually asks for feedback, several people repeat the same observation. It looks like independent agreement, but it may simply be a story that was planted early and repeated often enough. Do not fight workplace rumors by spreading more rumors. Build direct relationships, provide factual updates, and ask for specific examples whenever you receive vague feedback. Could you share a recent example of what not collaborative looked like and what you expected instead? A label loses its power when it is forced to confront specific behavior. If this section helped you put a name to something that once felt impossible to explain, save this video. When you are in the middle of the pressure, it is easy to doubt yourself. Looking back at the pattern when you are calm can help you see what is actually repeating. Tactic number 7 is the proxy pressure tactic, using someone else to apply pressure on your boss's behalf. A coworker suddenly starts demanding updates, questioning your decisions, or correcting your work in front of the team, even though no one has ever confirmed that they have any authority over you. If you push back, your boss says, "This is just a communication issue between the two of you." If you stay silent, that coworker becomes a shadow manager, someone with the power to pressure you, but none of the responsibility to manage you fairly. The pressure comes from a peer, while the ambiguity comes from leadership. Do not turn it into a personal battle. Ask for clarity around decision-making authority. To avoid duplicated direction, could you confirm who owns final approval and who I should report status to? Once the roles are documented, proxy pressure becomes much harder to hide behind the language of collaboration. The final tactic is the life disruption move. When the company does not make your job worse, but makes your life around the job impossible to maintain, your shift changes. Your hybrid schedule is revoked. Your territory is moved farther away. You are suddenly required to travel more often, even though the nature of your role has not changed. Every decision can be explained as a business need, and no single change proves that the company is targeting you. Pay attention to 3 things. Is the change being applied consistently? Is the reason clearly explained? And is the adjustment temporary or indefinite? The company does not need to make you hate your job. It only needs to make the job incompatible with childcare, your health, or your commute. Do not resign immediately. Request the scope, reason, and duration of the change in writing. If it involves an accommodation, discrimination, or legally protected rights, consult your union, the appropriate agency, or an employment attorney where you live. What connects all 8 tactics is not one email or one difficult coworker. It is the deliberate separation of responsibility from control. You are held responsible for the outcome, while someone else controls the information, the resources, and the story people hear about what happened. Do not exhaust yourself trying to prove their intent. Document the observable pattern, the request, the missing resources, the standard being applied, the person making the decision, and the actual impact. Once you start doing that, they may call you rigid, distrustful, or overly focused on documentation. The first sign that you have exposed an ambiguous system is rarely cooperation. It is usually discomfort from the people who benefited from that ambiguity. You are not becoming paranoid. You are learning to distinguish between your actual responsibilities and a failure that was designed for you to carry. If you have experienced any of these 8 tactics, comment, "I document the pattern." Quiet firing depends on convincing you to see an entire pattern as a series of unrelated incidents. But when your projects, access, opportunities, and voice all begin disappearing, stop explaining their behavior for them. Do not resign in a moment of wounded pride. Slow down. Ask for clarity in writing. And make sure you still have more than one option. If you want to protect your career with evidence instead of assumptions, subscribe to You and Me at Work. Thank you for staying with me until the end. They may control what happens behind closed doors, but do not let them control the story of how you leave. I'll see you next time.